What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Today it's all about bank fishing and my top tips for bank fishing. Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back. Most people start fishing from the bank, right? They don't have a kayak or a boat to fish from, so they have to maximize their time on the bank. And in this video, I'm going to give you my tips, but also tools that I use to help me with each one of those tips. At the end, I have a tool for you that's going to really open things up when it comes to bank fishing. It is a tool that will help you with each one of my tips so that you can end up going to the bank, spending less time, and catching more bass. Tip number one, choose the right spot. It seems really simple, but a lot goes into choosing what spot is right to start bass fishing. Before you even head out the door, you should be researching a little bit about what spots in your area are good for fishing, right? What spots have bass? What spots have a lot of bass? What kind of bass they have, right? So that's really important. A tool that I use to help with that one is really two. One, FishBrain. FishBrain is an app that I found last year that really gives you spots to look for in your area that may have fish, and it also gives you recent catches so you know what kind of caliber fish are in that body of water. I was at a work conference earlier this summer. I ended up bringing a couple poles with me. I just looked at the FishBrain app, and there was a spot not 15 minutes from where my conference was, and I ended up going out and having some pretty good success. Another app that's helpful is Google Earth. Sometimes on FishBrain you can't see the exact terrain, so I go to Google Earth. It even has that street view that can tell you exactly where you're supposed to go in and what the terrain looks like. Those two are great tips for going out and researching before you get to the bank. Now, when I get to the bank, how do I choose where to start fishing? I'm looking for two things when I'm starting to fish from the bank. I'm looking for shade, I'm looking for structure. Especially now in August, it is hot, right? So now those fish are really looking to cool down in the shade. And they're also holding to some kind of structure if they're not deep out in your body of water. So when I approach that bank, I'm looking for where are those shade lines, where are those shade pockets, where is it shade in the shallows, and I'm looking for me that one dock that's on that body of water or that one tree that's hanging in the water. I'm looking for that structure that fish may hold on to. Tip number two is bring the right gear. Now, bank fishing is this whole different animal. You may see bass anglers on the MLF series have like 10 or 11 rods when they're going out fishing. When you're fishing from the bank, the more rods you bring, the harder it is to kind of traverse those trails. So you might want to limit your rod selection. You may want to make sure that the rods that you bring can do different things. I think maybe 6'9", 7-foot gear and less on the size of my rods because I don't want to get hung up in trees, especially in some of these tight spaces. It's kind of hard to cast. You have to maybe roll cast or do other kinds of casts. And the longer your rod is, the harder it's going to be to do that. When it comes to lures and baits, you want to bring lures and baits that can do a lot of different things that are very versatile. So I'm not going to bring a Kitech, but I might bring a Kitech with an open style swim hook and maybe a weedless swim hook and maybe an underspin. So now I can fish 3 different techniques with that swim bait. In one of my other videos, I talked about the plastic worm and how important that is, right? The plastic worm is great because you can fish it for so many different applications, whether it's a weedy area or rocky area. The plastic worm is a great bait for bank fishing because it can do so many different things. Tip number 3 is be stealthy. You want to be a little stealthy when you're entering the bank, especially when you first get there. Sometimes it's really good to catch from a little bit, maybe 6-8 feet away from the bank and see if you can get some fish that are shallow right in front of you. Because the fish do see and hear you. There's vibrations that come up from the water. If you're walking and thudding around, they're gonna feel that vibration and know that you're around, right? So be stealthy, take your time, and maybe fish an area from a little bit farther away to make sure that you catch all those fish that are shallow right next to you. Tip number 4, pay attention to the weather. The weather conditions can change a lot. It can go from a spinnerbait day to a wacky worm day really quickly. Making sure you pay attention to the weather and what that weather might do to fish. Now, my last tip is going to help a lot with this because for some of us, we don't always know what the weather does to bass. The tool is called Bass Forecast. There's an app that came out last year. They made a huge update to it this year. And Bass Forecast is a great tool for beginner anglers because it helps you pick the right gear, the right bait, the right spot, and it pays attention to the weather patterns. It'll actually show you lures that you can use for the time of year and what kind of fishing may be helpful, whether it's slow fishing, maybe medium fishing, or really want to be fast and moving baits, right? So Bass Forecast has been a great app for me to just start to understand what the weather does to fishing, but it also helps me. It rates each day. So each location for each day has a rating 1 through 10, 10 being the best day you can have. I may have 5 different local areas that I can fish, but maybe one has a better rating than the other. That might be the one that I pick. So I hope this was helpful to you. These tools and these apps have been really helpful to me over the last year or two as I gotten better at bank fishing. So if this video was helpful, leave a like, leave a comment. I'd love to know how this helped you out, and I'll see you in the next video.